Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Dead City video. So I actually wanted to talk about the latest scene to come out. Actually, I think it's the first one that came out for The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2. Now, I will say, actually, I was thinking about it. I really do miss Talking Dead. Like, I think Talking Dead was really an incredible show that, you got to talk about the show after the episode aired, right? And it was something that was just very special because you would get like a clip at the end of the episode that would sort of tease next week's episode, right? And I think that's what's missing right now as well, is something like that. Like, I know that it's not something that everyone watches all the time, but I feel like having some sort of like talk show like that afterwards, talking about The Walking Dead, would really help. So that's one thing I will say for AMC. If in the future, you want to do like a talk show thing for The Walking Dead, I think bringing back Talking Dead, or I know that they have some stuff like that on AMC Plus, actually, that's kind of similar. Like, if you did something like that for The Walking Dead and watched every episode, but aired it right after The Walking Dead, I think that'd be honestly really incredible. So anyways, just wanted to mention that, but let's actually talk about the scene here, because this scene here is from episode 4. It seems like it's happening very early on in the episode, and yeah, they released it today, and I think that's really great because normally they release these episode clips like later in the week. Like last week or the week before, I think it was like on a Saturday or something like that. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know it was way later in the week. I think dropping it Wednesday or Thursday, that works really well. Like, you're going to build up the hype for that episode coming out right away, right? And that's going to be this Sunday. So yeah, really incredible stuff here. But before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. But let's actually get into the scene here. So the scene actually begins here with Negan, and he's walking around here with Lucille. He's looking at, I guess, a zombie in a tow truck, and he's kind of smiling about it. He's laughing because he's like, well, what happened here, right? Like, he's kind of, I guess, amused by the whole thing here. Like, he finds it funny or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, he's just kind of, looking around, whatever. And then Dama shows up and then says, it takes a lot to phase you, and there's a reason why he needed you, right? And so we're going to go in here, talk to Bruegel, and there's a lot of stuff wrong with him, basically. So we need to try to keep this very, very peaceful, like as peaceful as possible, because, things could really go wrong. So that seems to be their approach here, to go and meet Bruegel, which is really interesting. So they're building up the hype almost here, right? Because he is somebody that I guess is just a little out there, right? So I think that going there like that, I like this setup here because you could totally see that in the episode, it's not going to go this way. Like, I think Dama is going to want things to be very peaceful. I think for Negan, it's pretty much going to go the way you think. Like, I do think that he's going to, go into his speeches, or, he'll have that very, like, charismatic way, about how he sort of handles the situation. And I think that Bruegel might really like that, right? Like, I think that a lot of the very beginning here is going to be a lot of setup for, like, we have to be very careful around him, because if we say one wrong thing, things will go really, really bad for us here, right? So I think that once we're there, he's going to see who Negan is, and I think that he might actually like him overall. Like, I do think that they're likely going to get along pretty well here. We'll see where things go later on, but I think that it's probably going to be how things first start here. And then at that point there, I think that things maybe go away from Dama and the Croat, right? Like, it's possible that Negan actually gets a lot more power in a situation like this, where maybe he's running things there. Like, he has way more influence with Bruegel and a lot of, how they're handling all these communities and stuff. So I think that's kind of how it's going to go here. Like, I really do think that Dama and the Croat, like, they're not going to be able to handle him once he gets a lot more power. Right now they can, because he's there, but I just get the feeling that a lot of what Dama is saying just isn't true. That's the whole thing about his family. So in this scene here, Dama actually mentions that, your family must be like getting very, very close, this and that. And obviously sort of threatens him in that way, or just reminds him that you have to do things my way, or, something could happen to them. And so for Negan, obviously hearing that immediately, he's just like he gets very, I don't want to say upset, but he's very mad about the whole situation here. And I just think that this is something that's not going to go on for that long, because, I mean, for one, I don't think she has his family at all. I think that they're probably happy wherever they are. It would just be so random if she actually got them and they're on their way here right now. Like, I just don't see that being a possibility. Like, maybe it's a reveal later this season. I'd be honestly very surprised by that, but I don't think that's what's happening, because Negan never really talked about his family to anyone. Like, yeah, you could find out stuff from New Babylon or other communities or just like other people around, but I just think that it didn't make too much sense. I think that they're probably going to be fine. and that she's just using that to sort of remind him of like, you need to follow me, right? So I think eventually he'll find out about that, and that'll pretty much just be that. And so that's the only reason why he's not doing certain things. And I think that, for him to become himself, he has to not worry about that. I think he can't fully be himself because he has that worry there. Like, the second that worry is gone and he knows they're safe, I think it'll be so much easier for him to be himself, right? And I think that's why we're not seeing the old Negan actually come out here, right? So let's actually talk about that, because that's one thing that I've seen that has been a complaint about the season so far, is that, like, oh, I wanted to get the old Negan, right? And see, that character again. And we're not really getting that character. It's, I guess, who he's been a lot this season. And I think the reason is because he's having a hard time doing that. But I think they're building to it. Like, in the trailer, if you noticed, I think he Lucille's like 2 people, maybe more. And we haven't seen any of that yet. And so I think right now it's sort of, that's the point, is he's doing things, but he hasn't become that character again yet. But I think we're building there to a point where he actually has to Lucille somebody. And I'm not sure who it's going to be. Could it be Dama? Could it be the Croat? Like, who is it going to be? That's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out here. But I feel like that's where we're building to right now, is that he's very just like, he'll do whatever he has to do in front of Dama, but they're building to that here, where something like maybe a death, like maybe Jenny or maybe Herschel, right? Like, I could see one of those 2 characters maybe dying off at some point this season. Well, not Herschel, obviously. Herschel's going to be around for a while, but they could kill off a character that Negan really cares about. And then I could see the character becoming, the old Negan. And at that point there, honestly, it would be, first of all, very entertaining. But I think there's a reason why we haven't seen anything yet. I think it's because they're building to that. Because the Croat even mentioned in episode 3, like, Dama notices that you're not entirely who you used to be before. And so, we have to change that. Obviously, you have to be who you were, because that's who I told her you were. And so you're going to have to do that if you're going to want to be, I guess, just making Dama happy, right? So I think that that's one thing that is actually happening with the story right now, is that he's having a hard time becoming his old self because he's not really that person anymore. But I still think that if there was a death at some point here, that's where he might go absolutely insane. And yeah, definitely watch out at that point, because we have never ever seen like a very angry version of the character. He's always been like yeah, in season 7 and 8 you could argue he's been like angry sometimes, and there was stuff that happened, but like, it's different. Like, at this point now, since All Out War anyways, like, we haven't seen that side of the character, and I think it would be really cool to actually see that. I think if he was actually just like really, really angry and he had Lucille, like, honestly, it might be the most insane we have ever seen Negan ever. And honestly, that could be really amazing for the story. So this clip here was really cool, I will say. That's pretty much what happens here, is she reminds him of, yeah, like, I know your family, this and that. And so yeah, obviously he feels very uncomfortable, and it's just like, why'd you have to do that? I was having a good day kind of thing. But now he's reminded of like, yeah, I do have to follow what she is saying here. So this is going to be very early on in episode 3, probably like the earliest scenes, I would say, of the episode. And then I think that, it's going to be so much fun when he actually meets Bruegel. I'm just excited to meet Bruegel. I really am, because I think he's going to be the one character that will turn this season around and make things a lot more exciting. Like, right now, there's been a lot of build up and character development. The episodes have been overall slower. I've enjoyed them a lot. Like, I like stories like that, but I do get those complaints out there. But I still think it's because they're building up to a character like Bruegel. And we'll see where the story goes here for the rest of the season. But I just think those last couple of episodes, honestly, are going to be absolutely crazy, because we have the bear, that's going to be chasing Maggie and Herschel. A lot of battles, I'm sure. A lot of stuff happening with New Babylon. And again, those last 2 episodes weren't given out for review at all. So I'm just like, why? I really want to know, like, what happens in those last 2 episodes. So things are slow right now, but they're building up to something right now, and I'm really excited. I can't wait to see what the rest of the season is going to bring here, but definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video. I will be doing a video tomorrow on Morgan, actually, so stay tuned for that. I'm also planning on doing some videos on The Last of Us as well and catching up on that, because I know the finale is this Sunday coming up, so I will do some videos on The Last of Us, because yeah, I have some thoughts on The Last of Us. There's been a lot of, well, I'll save that for the video, because there's actually a lot to talk about with that show right now. But yeah, anyways, hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.